Hello, and a very warm welcome to our webinar, The Transformative Power of IoT for a Sustainable Future. This webinar is organized by Oakland's, the leading mid-market M&A advisory, helping entrepreneurs and evolving companies to reach their full potential. With some 850 people in 45 countries, we have closed more than 1,900 deals in the past 5 years and have an especially strong record in tech-related industries. My name is Hatje, and I'm your host today. The Internet of Things has transitioned from emerging technology to an integral component of our daily lives, having a profound impact on more or less all industries. To connect machines, sensors, and assets with each other does not only enable you to raise automatization, it enables you also to collect much more data for analysis and therefore for improvement of processes. Today, we want to talk about different use cases for IoT solutions, as well as the latest trends and experiences within M&A and capital raise. I'm glad that 3 successful entrepreneurs have joined me for this webinar. They will give a short introduction to their respective companies and IoT solutions and will share their experience in regard of the environmental for M&A or capital rise. Now, let us start with Andreas, founder and CEO of Eggvolution, in which he combines his farming heritage with his passion about resource-efficient agriculture. Andreas, may I hand over to you?
Yeah, thank you, Jan. My name is Andreas. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Eggvolution. I grew up on a farm and worked a few years in agriculture, studied agriculture, and have seen a lot of different farms and farming practices. But during my stations and during my working on the farm and at the home farm, it's always for me the question how we can adapt to the local climate, because the weather and everything which is connected to the weather is influencing every decision we made on the farm. And so it was obvious to me that we need better data, because nowadays we don't know actually what the weather is on our local farms and our fields. There are weather station providers, and there are large institutions who are doing predictions on the global weather and also on the weather you see on your smartphone when you wake up in the morning. But there's no prediction service and no actual data set from each part of each field. And how can we adapt to the local weather if we don't know the weather? That was a basic idea behind Eggvolution, to really solve this issue. And then I started together with my co-founders in 2020, and we developed on the one hand an AI system which is able to predict microclimate on each field site. So every part of the field can be predicted and monitored during the season. And also a hardware, an IoT device, it's called Primavi, which we use to give the right ground truth data set to the AI system, because every prediction needs to be referenced and we need to know if the prediction is right or not. And that is the task, the task of the sensor basically. And the experience about IoT solutions so far from my side is that there are a lot of different standards, protocols, and a lot of technologies available. But it's like everywhere, you need to find your way through this jungle. And we decided to go to the mobile network to use MBLT and LTE-M, because this is a global available standard or global available solution. And we are also using satellite radio technology in regions where we have no connectivity at all. Then satellite IoT is very useful. And the reason why we go for this is because we need scalable solutions on the market, which you can roll out in every country on the world, because farming is happening in every country on the world. And it's happening on the countryside, where you don't always have the best connectivity. That's where you need to be flexible in your IoT solution. And also we use technologies like augmented reality. Now you would question why we are doing that, because you can imagine when you put a sensor, a soil moisture sensor in the ground, and plants are growing over this sensor, then you don't see them anymore. So you need to find the sensor again. If you want to put it out, then you need to find the sensor. And so we developed also as an as a service, augmented reality service, which is able to give a higher precision to the smartphone device. So we can achieve only with a smartphone app and a standard smartphone, we can achieve an accuracy of 1 meter and can position the sensor. And if we have positioned it within 1 meter resolution, then we can find it again very easily. And this is where we try to give the user the best experience, so that he doesn't need to take care of the sensor and doesn't need to take too much time and effort on maintenance and on running the whole IoT system. That is very crucial thing, that this must be as user-friendly as possible. Any IoT device must be very must be very easy to understand and easy to use. And the third thing, besides, so I mentioned the radio technology, the standards, you need to be very flexible on that. You need to focus on scalable solutions. And the second thing is that the device must be as user-friendly as possible. And the third thing we accomplished is that it's energy self-sufficient. So it's using solar power and very efficient software, which is very low power. So we just have a small battery inside, not bigger than my hand, and this is been used to give the energy source to the whole sensor device. And yeah, that is basically what we have accomplished. So that is very easy to use and really, really easy to understand. I can say something about the market. So the market is quite intense. You have seen that the market has grown very fast in IoT space, and also in agriculture and in weather monitoring. There are new solutions on the market, but so far there are only a few sensors which can measure, for example, energy self-sufficient, which are energy self-sufficient and can measure soil moisture in several depths, which is very crucial for any kind of agricultural or plant-related prediction. And so that is our topic here. We had to build an AI which can predict the microclimate, including soil moisture content and including the plant growth, which is happening on the fields, and add sensors to those AI system to get the data initially, or to give the AI system a ground truth that we know that the prediction is right. And hopefully I could give you a few insights about our technology, and I'm looking forward to the discussion and to the next presenters.
Thank you very much, Andreas, for this insight. One immediate question: how do you see the future of agriculture? You have thought about the, let me say, sensor and data collection thing. Are your solutions also involved on the, let me say, more production thing? Will there be only robots in 20 years and collecting the farming, or is there something where do you see still human work involved?
Yeah, I mean, we have already robots on the field, so even a tractor is it's more like a robot today, like a tractor, because it can drive autonomously. And of course, digitalization has been happening over the last 2 decades very intensively. So agriculture is really a modern area in technology, and we have also we see it definitely the case that robots will do the farming work, and it's only a legal restriction. It's not a technology restriction. Of course, there are things you need to accomplish, but you have no traffic, not so much traffic on the field. And so it's easier to roll out robots in agriculture rather than in human interactions on the streets. So, and as I said, there are already robots working, and the costs are decreasing, the technology is evolving, and we are also adapting on that. So we give, the robot must know where to drive, and if he can drive over a field, because there's no driver anymore, which can decide if it's possible to drive over a field, and what to spray and what to irrigate. Everything must be automated, and we are the company who are definitely giving this robot this prediction and this decision support, and also the task which needs to be done on the farming side. And this is something where we are working already with robot companies together and with agriculture machinery providers.
Great. Thank you. Thank you again. As next speaker, I would like to invite Marc to talk about the solutions from Think Technologies. Marc is the father of the Think IT or Think It product suite and has a long background, not only a serial entrepreneur, including a couple of exits to strategic buyers, but also a very scientific background. So Marc, the floor is yours. We are looking forward to what you can talk to us.
Thank you very much for the introduction, Jan, and also thank you, Andreas, for the insights. It's a bit of a blast from the past, as our first experiments with IoT and basically the foundation of Think have been experiments with aquaponics in Brooklyn before we moved back to Germany. So I'm kind of connected to urban agriculture a little bit and the use of IoT there. Let me give you a little background on where I am and coming from and why I might add to the expertise in this space here. I'm Marc Gille, founder and CEO of Think Technologies. And Think provides an entire platform for building digitalization. So it does everything you need to support digitalization use cases in a building. And that goes from describing the building and its spaces and the purpose of these spaces and the assets being used in the building to gathering sensor data about the building, connecting to things where you can switch something on or off in the building or control something in the building in the context of what people do with it, connecting to building control, to access control, etc. And this way to support tenants and coworkers to use an office building in the best possible way. This comprises a lot of aspects, and hence the whole thing has become a platform, which is pretty much something on enterprise level as you have it with enterprise resource planning or customer relationship management, corporate group or something like this with all the corporate requirements, etc. And it really supports the use of an office space. And because buildings and office buildings in particular are significant contributors to the overall CO2 emissions, it makes sense to think about a contribution here, and using them less or using them at least better will help with the reduction of CO2 emissions. And data about how these buildings are used obviously will also help, which reminds me a little bit how the whole thing started. I mean, we started the company in what very first experiments in 2015, where IoT just had become a hype, or was at least on vogue, and so was big data and big data analytics. And the general spirit at that time, specifically in the real estate industry, was, hey, let's collect a lot of data about the building. We'll find out later what to do with them. The term data lake became popular. And then it became clear quite soon that harvesting data on a building is like harvesting apples. It's not just shaking the tree, grab everything which is falling down. Even shaking the tree is work. And it turned out to be a lot of work to really digitalize buildings, to connect things in the building, to connect users to things in the building. Even today, grabbing data from a BACnet, building control, connecting smart meters, connecting retrofit IoT sensors, and mapping them properly to the building structure and the building purpose and the purpose of the space in the building, and making that transparent to people operating the building and the users using the building, that requires technology, and at the same time, which is an investment, and also requires experts to do that, to set it up properly, to operate it, and there's not necessarily a lot of expertise in the space. The term digital facilities management has been used for quite a while, but you cannot find a lot of them. So I can tell you that because I'm teaching at the university in my leisure time to fill that void of experts here. Fortunately, we have found quite a few with our partners, so we are able to roll out projects like that worldwide, have done that quite often in the last couple of years. So being conscious of the cost of digitalization. The next question was, so what do we gain? What are the returns? What are the returns of our investments here? And does it help running my heating more efficiently and hence cheaper and more sustainable? Or does it help my employees to work more effectively in the office space I have leased specifically after the pandemic? And does it help for the employees to like working there when they come to the office to collaborate? And it's not difficult to see that the latter may have much higher returns because it immediately contributes to the success of your business as a tenant in an office building. So it's not surprising that digitalization initiatives very often come from corporate tenants because they have higher returns on their investments, different to buildings, and they do that in different buildings, different landlords across sites. So does that help sustainability? Even that initiative, which has quite a bit of a driver at the moment, surprisingly, yes, indirectly and partially even directly. Using an office more efficiently and only if needed reduces the need of space which has to be heated, needs light, and also reduces commutes to the workplace. And it also incentivizes the landlord to offer a basic digital infrastructure to the tenant to use. So it's an interesting ecosystem between the landlord and the tenant here. Let's consider a simple example I hope everyone here on the webinar can connect to. If you reduce the number of meeting rooms, which corporates do all across the planet, we're talking about savings of 20-30% of the lease, which shows you what the gain is, even if it does not contribute to the effectiveness of employees. And the coworkers coming to the office to do exactly that, to communicate, to meet. So they need meeting rooms. Meeting rooms become a scarce resource, right? And if you know that a meeting room is booked and at the same time have sensor data about occupancy, you can decide whether a booking is not used, and you can free up the space for others to book. But these sensors could also have been installed by the landlord as a general value to attract tenants, which is a tendency we see in the market at the moment, and could be trained with AI for an optimal schedule for changing the heating inlet temperature, or opening or closing the air control and stuff like this. So all of that is interconnected, but driven by investments. So in a nutshell, IoT and AI will have a massive impact on getting major CO2 contributed cleaner, and what we do with our platform is in the heart of that, and it's leveraging the investment cases for the portfolio holders in question. It needs a business case, and the better the business case is, the more digitalization you will see, and the more impact on CO2 you will see beyond any regulatory things. It's more the carrot than the stick, so to say, which is not necessarily what we do properly in the EU. So all of that, we are actually, you asked Jan, what's the situation regarding raising capital? With all of that in mind, with our current situation, funny enough, we just have started to have conversations on our next round. And given the state of the company and where we are with product market fit and great logos in the portfolio and the customer base we have and indications on in-account growth, we are talking to early growth investors. I was surprised how many reached out proactively this time. So since the beginning of this year, I had really quite a lot of inbound contacts with a lot of knowledge already about what the company does and about the market, and explaining what we do was a cakewalk compared to, let's say, 3 years ago or so, where it was all about, is the thesis right? Is this going to happen? It is happening. Everybody knows that, and the adoption by client shows that. So that part is done. What we see, and there's this probably quite normal for growth stage companies, and specifically in the current market situation, that a lot of the discussions are now about KPIs much more than they had been in the early days, and surely also in the current climate about profitability and the lifetime values of clients, the stickiness and things like this. And for us to explain that for our business is easier than for someone who's really betting on a secret sauce killer app approach. We have just done a bread and butter hard way of building a platform, and have fortunately implemented such a platform which now has become a standard building block for corporates. So I'm kind of positively looking at that round of finance, but I prefer for the market to return to the, let's say, 2020 multiples.
Thank you, Marc. Obviously, this would be nice, I think, for all of us. No, but let me ask it again. You explained, but especially as the venture capital market and also the M&A market was in a challenging situation in the first quarter. It seems that it's getting better, but the first quarter was hard. So, is your experience then based, or do you have seen from the investors that, let me say, the true mega trends, greener environment, IoT solutions, etc., that this is still sought by investors compared to the next killer app or the next whatever system, so that investors are valuing that differently?
Yeah, that is what I meant. I'm seeing. I mean, I can only speak for ourselves here, but I'm perceiving an appreciation for the solid business behind what we do. It's not a lot of a bet. It's really, okay, people are buying this. This is clear. You just have to make it broader. You have to scale. You have to grow internationally. You have to serve more clients, to onboard more partners, and what have you. This is all clear. I have the feeling that my counterparts feel comfortable with thinking along these lines rather than, could it work? Is that hype there I've been seeing the last 2 years? Is that something which is really happening or so? Which I mean, if you look at companies not really being competitors of ours, companies just doing desk booking, over time, I think a standalone point solution for desk booking is doomed to fail. It's not what the corporates want. They want a holistic experience for their co-workers, and they want to be able to oversee what's happening in the company and how they can improve the work life for people, and that is just a corporate platform. And I'm perceiving that this resonates quite nicely with the people I'm talking to. Yet to be seen. If someone is on the call who is ready to make an investment in a company like ours, you know where to find me.
Thank you very much, Marc. Maybe what we have or can use this round also for something like that would be a very good combination. Last but not least, Karsten will share his insight about his company, Develco. Karsten brings nearly 20 years of technology and management expertise with him, and acts since nearly 10 years as CEO of Develco. And Karsten, we are looking forward to your presentation.
Thank you very much. And thank you very much, Andreas and Marc. And it was very interesting to hear your presentation, and especially you, Marc, because we are maybe not that far from each other. Maybe I'm in a different segment. I'm at least in a different game. Maybe you can get a picture of that in a few minutes. You know, my name is Karsten. I've been with Develco Products for the last 8, 9, 10 years, and been working within this IoT industry since that time. And that was actually the date I discovered something was called IoT. So I'm running a company out of Denmark, focused on IoT, and what we are doing is a IoT hardware technology platform, and with that we mean the architecture, the infrastructure in a building, like you talked about, Marc, and it could be in a building, it could be in a house, it could be in an apartment, where we take the responsibility of the sensor, the communication, and then the communication up to the cloud. So we have over the years developed you can see a edge computing device product line where we can connect the building, the house, the apartment with the cloud, with the internet. And then we have a basic set of devices. End devices could be sensors or controlling devices where you can control things in the building. And then we have on top of this hardware, we have developed invested quite heavily in a middleware that makes it extremely easy for our customers to connect with this installation, with this architecture, with the building, and with the home. We have developed and defined local intelligence in the edge computing, in the hub, in the gateway, and then makes it very, very easy for our customers to build an end-to-end solution on top of the hardware that we have developed. So our customers, they are developing the cloud setup, the app, the portal, whatever kind of solution they would like to develop for their customers and for their end users. This platform is building 100% on open standards, and by that we also can connect, to other vendors' devices, third-party devices that can connect into typically the wireless network that we establish in the solution, in the building, in the home. We have, of course, from day one, focused on different verticals, different business segments in the market. We are in the high volume game. So the different business areas that we're focusing on is security, it is care, home care, monitoring elderly people living at home, and then it is smart energy optimizations in buildings and homes and apartments. So these three segments is where we develop both the end devices, the control devices or sensors, and as well also the gateway, the edge computing device with local intelligence that fits into these three segments. So you can say with this platform that actually enables our customers to take a huge task away from them. I'm sure Marc knows how big this task actually is. And we also see, over the years, this task is actually quite often underestimated, what kind of resources and investment it takes to get this infrastructure up running, mature, safe, and stable. So this enables our customers to focus on their solution and focus on value add to their customers and to their end users. And that's a key focus for us towards our customers, that we need them to focus on creating value to the end users, because we see that over the years has been a challenge. So with this platform, you can say, if our customers knows what they would like to do, we can get them on the market very, very fast with this infrastructure. So we tend to say, if you know what you want to do, you have your cloud up running, you can be in the market with a full product line, connect your application, your home, or whatever you are doing with our platform in 3 months. It is, low risk. It is mature technology we have developed over the years, and up till now we have accumulated 3.5 million devices out running in the field. So it's not something developed yesterday. So it's mature. It's low risk for our customers. And then due to this huge investment in getting this infrastructure up running, it is a very low investment by using what we have. We are about 40 people, 45 people out of Denmark. We have also some locals around the world, but we are a smaller company and therefore, of course, a little bit flexible, can do things more customized to our customers. And then with this, we have also quite good experience over the years with other solutions. We have seen a lot because we have been here for a long time. So we know what to do and what not to do. So we will be an excellent professional partner to our customers from the first day of development until rollout, and will stay with them as a wingman when problems occur in the market with this infrastructure. We have a high volume manufacturing setup in Thailand for the European market and in Mexico for the North American market. So you can say we support our customers in this fast-moving and exponential growing digitalization process, which is going on in the market. And you can say, for a better world, as was one of the topics for today, peace of mind for the elderly generation. We have solutions that let the elderly stay at home, more efficient, also from governments for a longer time. We support safety and security in homes and buildings, and reduce energy consumption at the same time. So you can say, with our offering, you can live longer, you can stay safer, and you can use less energy. So you can say, what's not to like? We've been in this game for quite a long time, and I built this platform over 8 years. And when we look back and see what we have been into, then we probably have been discussed or worked with or been very close to more than 200 solution providers over these years. So we have seen a lot. We have, as we see it from a business, maybe from an investor perspective, we have a unique business model. We do not see that very often in the segments that we are in. This combination between software and hardware, it is scalable from our business point of view. We can actually quite fast scale the company. For us, we have several customers building solutions on top of this platform. So from a business perspective, the risk from our investors is lower, because we have diversified to more customers and solutions. And then things start moving now. We are getting up in higher volume, and we hopefully looking into a potential interesting exit in a few years. What we also see is that and that maybe fits also good into what you mentioned, Marc. We have seen players in the market doing end-to-end solutions and doing everything themselves, and it's a huge task. It will typically delay the market introduction. They will get technical challenges, not only in the cloud and in their application part of it, but also on the hardware part, as what we are working with. And getting subscriptions, because that is many of our customers, they're going for subscriptions. It's a tough game. So by doing everything themselves, they will be late, they will wait for volume, they will need a huge investment to do everything themselves. So what we see, you can say at this time, you can say after as you also mentioned, after the IoT hype, we see this transition, at least in our space, from early adopters into early majority. And we see projects being terminated. We are seeing, also players going bankrupt, missing funding. They are not, they do not have the progress in volume of subscriptions or customer end users. So what we have seen over time is that the value creation is quite often limited in that end, and that gives a challenge. So we see this transition into this early majority. The crossing the chasm. This is where we are in the space we are in. So we see. We see some mergers, we see terminations, we see limited funding, but we also see funding being done. Maybe it's at lower valuations, but it is still there. The money is still there. We see funding going into also the subscription-based cases, but maybe at a lower valuation. I believe, I think maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago, it was not so hot to be in hardware. Subscription, recurring revenue was, all about that. It seems to be a little more stabilized now. We are also in recurring revenue, but we are also in the hardware space. And I believe it is we are in a maybe better position from an investor point of view at the moment. So I believe actually that in this transition period, it is the right time to identify the right investment opportunities. they are out there. You need to find them. You need to find companies with good traction. And if they have good traction, I think there's no question that they will move fast forward. So it is now, volume is coming. We can see it from, day to day, that volume is increasing. We are in a good path, going up with, between 30 and 50% per year. And volume is at a different level as it was just a few years ago. So I believe the next years will be very interesting for us and for the IoT space we are in, at least.
Thank you very much. I received already a couple of questions, but maybe I have one for all of you. Which sectors do you see are most affected by IoT in general? The asker has already asked ChatGPT before that to get some answer from them or from him or from this, however do you want to call it. And ChatGPT has suggested manufacturing, healthcare, transportation, energy, agriculture, and retail. Would you agree to that, or do we have more knowledge than ChatGPT?
What is missing?
This is a good question.
but I can say, at least from the perspective we are in, we have focused a lot on trying to get into, where value creation is maximum, and I think that is where it will succeed. And definitely within this care, home care, healthcare, we have the demography challenge. It's not a discussion if we should have this implemented. It is a must, I would say, to survive. So definitely that will be very, very interesting.
Marc, Andreas, do you have something to add?
I obviously have to complain. Why did ChatGPT leave out real estate?
Yeah.
Or maybe I missed it. Unfair. we need to upload an embedding or something.
But Andreas, as also ChatGPT recognizes agriculture as a very important point, maybe one of the questions was specifically also addressed to you. What was the biggest hurdles on the development of your product, as you have different areas? There was AI, there is augmented reality, there is hardware, sensors, etc. And all of them are already very big fields, and you have developed a solution including many of these parts. What was the biggest challenge there?
Yeah, it sounds a lot, but we always focused on the end user. So we want to have the most user-friendly system. That's our goal, and try to solve each problem step by step. So first of all, we started with the software. Then we started to develop the sensor, because we were looking for over a year for a solution which is working actually. And then we made many tests with existing sensors in the soil moisture area, and a lot of them were not working, were too expensive, or had a high effort and maintenance, or all the three things together. So and that is the reason why we don't find soil moisture data sets around here. And maybe that was one hurdle, one big issue. And that's why we started to develop a hardware and an IoT solution actually, to give a better prediction and a better AI system. And regarding to the new general language models and ChatGPT, I think it's a huge opportunity, but still there's a problem in predicting unforeseeable or multifactorial things and natural things like the ecosystem, because a lot of things can happen, and plants are affected by the management of a farmer, they are affected by the environment, they're affected by the soil, the plant growth can go in different directions. And to predict this with a standard AI system or just with language model is not that easy, but it offers huge potential in reaching out to the end user and to the customer, giving better support, automate workflows. It's a huge potential from my point of view.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. Marc, you have explained that and this is another question from the audience, that real estate investors are really driving the demand for a solution, but also the tenants. Who is, let me say, your natural buyer persona? It is, who do you attract? Do you go to the real estate investor and see him as a client, or is it more the tenant, and then the tenants are going to their landlords?
Yeah, as I said, the returns for the corporates are much higher at the moment. I don't know whether you guys know that 330-300 paradigm, where you think about on 1 square meter in a building, what can you change in terms of savings and returns? If you change something on the building operations side, you change something on the scale of €3. If you are able to release leased space, it's more like tens of euros. So that's where the 30 is coming from. And if you make your employees happier and more effective and efficient, you tap into like hundreds of euros per square meter, and hence investments in that space are much higher, and the drivers are much higher. I mean, all larger corporations have their projects on the way, and forgive me for that, but the developers and the asset managers are still struggling to really find the places where they want to invest and what for, and get positive feedback from their tenants for, whereby the developers, for them it's easier because it's the digitalization budget, if you will, is baked into the budget of the new build. But I mean, in all fairness, how many new build are we going to see in the next couple of years, and even more so, how many new build initiatives should we see given the current situation of regarding the need for office spaces? So it's much more about the portfolio holder, about the asset manager, and then comes the question: so is it really, is a digital refurbishment, is that the right thing to lift up the quality of your building and the attractiveness for tenants? And I think that question is not fully fledged out yet. That's my perception. So for us, it's really the corporates or those who are already seeing the value for their tenants and hence investing either in a refurbishment or new build.
So we are already close at the end of our webinar, so therefore it's the last question. Karsten, one question to you: what do you see as the biggest challenge? You have already explained that you have used open standards, but is it the connectivity? Is it the standards so that people can use your products more easier? How it's on an international basis? I think European standards are very comparable, but if you are looking to, let me say, a global solution, then I would assume that you have to cope with even more. So what do you see as the biggest issue there?
I think from from the technical perspective, we are good. So I do not see huge challenges and also during the years on the technical side. Of course, we have to follow all the standards evolving and getting updated over the years, and we have a new one on the way called Matter, which is also interesting. So but we are following that up pretty good on the technical side. I think over the years, the biggest challenge for us is to make sure that the customers we choose to work with are succeeding. That is the biggest challenge, because it is changing. It is changing right now, but a few years ago, we have an inflow of customers who would like to build solutions for this, and there was a lot of POCs, there was a lot of pilots, and 5-6 years ago, the value add was limited. You can say the investment and the use of funding in the companies too much technology focused and too little value add and deployment focused. So over the years, the challenge has been we have been working with so many cases that never succeeded. Now we have maybe, I think we at the moment we have about 50 working with our 50 serious customers working on our platform, and they start to pick up. And then you can say maybe down to 10 who really takes volume now. So when these can say 10 to maybe we only need 30 customers, all in total that are actually moving volume, then we are good, right? So making sure we have the right and are investing in the right customers, that is the biggest challenge for us.
Good.
Still.
Yeah.
Right.
So again, unfortunately, we are running out of time. Even if I would like to continue with discussions on and on, because I think it's very great to have you here to share your experience. So Karsten, Marc, Andreas, thank you very much for your time and for participating here. Dear guests, I hope it was also for you a very good experience and that you had the one or other inspirations or idea which you can then use. And if there are some questions, I'm very sure that we can connect you to the speakers and then can have a one-to-one conversation also in the future. And as Marc said, if there is an investor here, then just please raise your virtual hand and we will care about the contact.
Raise to raise.
Yeah. So thank you very much, everyone, and have a good afternoon or a good morning, depending from your time zone.